There's a beaver shot? What?
Have you ever seen that groundhog that eats food in front of the camera?
Yes.
Yeah.
How come that's on there?
Yeah, so we're good. Oh, something funny.
It is kind of funny.
We're alive? Are we live with the is there a thing?
There's something playing. It's kind of funny.
Groundhogs.
Yeah, two groundhogs.
They're munching.
I don't see us. Are we live on the internet?
That sounds like a joke. It's two groundhogs.
There's these two groundhogs, and they're eating food in front of a camera.
That's right. I did a TikTok a couple weeks ago with me and competing with a panda bear with a carrot.
Oh, how'd it work? Did you win?
He won.
Oh,
it was a panda bear.
Panda bears always win.
Panda bears win
They get
all
the
the
news.
time. Every time. I'm just standing by to see if we're live, Lonnie. If we are on the internet, because I'm just.
Yep, there we are.
Start
Just
speaking
a few
all the
seconds
words.
behind on the deal. We got her.
Isn't it always the way it goes? Every single time.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody. What's happening? The Kids on the Escalator Podcast. It's another Tuesday evening. How's everybody doing out there, Michael?
Tuesday. Well, thank you. Nice to be back. Big week, busy week. How are things out west, man? I've been following the Vancouver Canucks COVID catastrophe. It is frightening. I actually a friend of mine is friends with a member of the team's wife, and is sort of in the thick of that right now, and is telling me that it's not fun.
Well, listen, they've got to go to patient zero somehow and find out how did that happen? Because how did it, listen, you know what I mean? Like, they were in a bubble. There wasn't, I think, anything happening last year. So somebody broke out of the bubble. They're talking about, like, literally the Canucks season being done.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's a whole thing.
Another player was added to the list today, so it's like, and it's unfortunate too, because I mean, I think they were starting to turn a bit of a corner. I mean, Demko's been solid.
Oh, he's great. I was super stoked about him. Of course, I took Holtby.
Yeah.
In my pool,
I like Braden Holtby. I think he's a good dude, and they overpaid for him, but I see why. I was thinking maybe the Leafs were going to make a deal for Holtby, but
well, he hasn't been so hot, and Demko.
Yeah, but then again, look at what we've got. We've got, aside from Soupy Campbell, we've got Freddie No Show and Michael Hutchinson.
Campbell's doing good though, man. Campbell's doing good.
I heard you guys were going to try to get Reimer back.
I've heard so many rumors, and it's funny because our mutual friend Adam, we are constantly texting during Leaf games and going back and forth over, okay, so what are the things that Dubas is going to do? And it's funny because I joke because he's got a direct line to Dubas, because they've got this weird sort of excuse me.
He's got a direct line to Dubas.
He's got a direct line to Dubas.
Phone,
he can text. He can text the Dubemeister, and one talks hockey, one talks wrestling. So
nice.
Well, I think he should be starting to make some.
Dubniak's available, isn't he? Can they get Dubniak possibly from the Wild for a song, like for fairly cheap?
They were looking at Allmark, but I don't think Buffalo wants to get rid of him.
No, I think
Taylor
they should
Hall,
trade Nylander for.
Man.
Yeah, for Taylor Hall.
Listen,
no way, man.
Get rid of the whole thing and let's bring back Grant Fuhr. I'm in.
Hey, I will say though, Soupy Campbell there, he has tied Felix Potvin.
Yeah, for the wins in a row, right?
For the wins in a row to start. That's amazing. So that's a great story. You know what? I'm loving the team. I know there's a lot of Leaf haters, and I know Brett.
Leafs, man.
And it's funny because speaking of Vancouver, our another mutual friend of Adam and mine, Gerv Surha, who aka
the boys.
I think it's Sunil or Samir. Can't remember which sing. He's the Vancouver diehard, so we have the three-way texts going, and yeah, he's pretty devastated about the Canucks situation right now. But it's fun, man.
I think they're talking about adding a week.
I think
they're talking about adding a week to the season, so maybe that'll be a thing. Yeah, how about the 45,000 people in Texas for baseball yesterday?
I saw that. Taylor showed that to me. It's like
wow.
And there's going to be 25,000 this weekend for WrestleMania, which we'll get to later with our friend Caryma.
But baseball is not that fun to watch. It's to me, because I'm a hockey guy and I like things to be moving around. So to me, baseball is just like It's
Texas,
you get drunk,
man.
right? Well, it's
Well,
Texas.
then,
I should say no more.
Well, we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks if there's a spike down there. But you know, I've been talking with some of my close buddies here, and it's frustrating to see how, after all the garbage that was coming out of the U.S. and just the way that they were treating the whole COVID stuff, and now they're getting shots left, right, and center. They're getting like 4 or 5 shots just because they can. And meanwhile we're, But anyway, that's a political discussion that I have no time nor no patience or effort or reason to want to get into.
Interesting fact of the week. Fitting that you're here,
Do
Michael.
tell.
One year ago, you and
Yes.
I was on a deck. You were there. We were
That's
talking
right.
WrestleMania 36.
That's right.
I was recently out of the thing, and I was whatever. Now the tiger blood flows, through me, and we were
Yeah.
talking WrestleMania, and here we are, 1 year later, basically
That's awesome.
almost to the day, talking some more WrestleMania. Eventually,
Just don't
We are
show
gonna-
any of it. Just don't.
we just
show
can't show
We
any
can
of it
talk
because
about
Vinnie Mac is going to shut us down.
He is.
But that was on the Brenton On Tour podcast. This is the Kids on the Escalator podcast. Michael, it is episode 25.
Holy
Woo!
cow! Look at us go.
Chris, 25. That's been 25 weeks of us yattering on and changing lives. That's what's been
has.
going on here. And Michael, you've been along for a good
Making
deal
a
of them,
difference. That's what it is. Making a difference.
Da-na-na.
so. And on that note, we're done.
That's it. That's it. Man, I gotta say though, are we going to talk about some of the MCU stuff? Because
heck yeah.
this week is
We're going right in. So go for it.
holy balls, man.
What do you got, Mike? What are you opening
okay,
with?
so-
Loki
so
trailer or
let's-
Winter Soldier Falcon deal?
Let's start with Falcon because I'm really like, wow, like episode 3 was kick ass from start to finish, but I have questions. And as I'm watching the show, I'm like, I can't wait to get on the podcast to talk to you because you are my guru in explaining some of this stuff. Because there were things that happened and there are names that came up and moments that happened during the show that I kind of am aware of, but I'm sure you can dig deeper.
What do you got, buddy? Lay it on me.
Okay, the two big ones.
Yeah?
The two big ones. First off,
Oh, he's great. I was super stoked about him. Of course, I took Holtby.
Brent needs to hear himself a little more.
I don't know what the hell just happened there, but something just happened. I was checking
Brent's
my Marvel
rewatching.
stuff.
He likes to watch himself on.
I was going
Go
to say, I loved. Okay, the Madripoor.
Yeah.
Am I correct in remembering that Wolverine at one point was an eye patch wearing guy in Madripoor at the Princess Bar? Was that not the bar
Dude,
that
exact. That's the thing, right? So Wolverine was in the X-Men, and then the X-Men kind of had some issues going on, and Wolverine took off on his own, and his own comic book series started, and it's all Madripoor, man. Like, there's so much in there. The Grey Hulk comes into this, but the bar, you're right, Mike, you got it. So that's why a lot of X-fiends are freaking out about Madripoor.
But again, I think it's red herring. It's just, this is like, we're gonna put that in because it's gonna generate a lot of chatter amongst the diehards, which clearly it has. I thought that was a really cool shout out. The one thing that really sort of piqued my interest was the whole power broker thing, because in the comics, it's Curtis Jackson is the power broker, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're going that route here because they got 6 episodes, and to introduce that and try to give a backstory amidst all of this craziness going on, I can't see it. But man, if it is Sharon Carter,
Right?
holy crap.
Yeah.
Like that is
That'd be wild.
that's a mind fuck and then some.
Mike,
but-
so just the actress, Emily Vanderkamp? Or
Yes.
Emily Van Camp.
Van Camp.
Van
She
Camp.
grew up around the corner from me in Port Perry. Like, just, dude, right around the corner from me. Yeah, just a small little Easter egg in there. How everything joins together there. Yeah.
Really? I
Yeah.
didn't know she was Canadian. How did I miss
and
that?
little Port Perry town, man. Yeah, so she grew up in there from that area, and right around
She's
the
in.
corner from me.
Where,
I
from
think you
where?
can even scoot it out to Blackstock, because I
She's
know
from Blackstock.
the Van Camps were out kind of that area when I was growing up. So there you go.
Wow. Well, I loved the way she was introduced. I like the little the backstory as to why she's there. But man, all like if they're trying to sort of again, throw a red herring and make you think that she's the power broker, and then it's not. They did a really good job. I love the idea that maybe she was in fact so disillusioned that she was the one who somehow managed to get the super soldier serum back in business to give to these freedom fighters, only to have the freedom fighters, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And now I think we're kind of seeing a little bit of that at the end of the third episode where, they blow up that the building. I like where they're going with that, but I'm a little stumped at the whole Helmut Zemo or Baron Zemo.
Right. So I was going to talk about him a bit. So Baron Zemo is another one of my classics from 1964. First appeared in Avengers #4. So like Avengers that's crazy, right? Like way back. Now he is your classic Silver Age Marvel villain who is this supreme scientist funded by a very rich family. He's like the 10th in his name, right? Helmut. I'm just blanking on his name. Helmut Zemo. He's like the 10th Helmut Zemo in the science family. So he's very rich. Now, what they're saying is that he could be right beside Dr. Who. There was an area they didn't talk about that. But so what Baron Zemo is a master scientist. You know what I mean? A great swordsman. Classic villain. So so there's as I say, Mike, there's so many avenues Marvel could do, right? And everything could just be like whatever, like red herrings. There's a group called the Thunderbolts, and they're pretty large because they kind of they're like an evil version of the Avengers. Now, the Thunderbolts is after Thunderbolt Ross. Now, remember Ross?
Sergeant Ross.
And a lot of people are saying that he is the power broker. Correct. That's what a lot of people are saying. Baron Zemo becomes the leader of the Thunderbolts. So that could be why Zemo's in there. That could totally be why. The other thing, because he's got to be leading to something, right, Mike? Like they don't put him. We're not just going to throw him in there. He's got to be leading to something. As in the Scarlet Witch, we'll find out like a year from now that this little thing in the Scarlet Witch blew up and meant something else, right? So right now, I'm thinking this could be the birth of the Thunderbolts, which is huge, which is a very, very big.
But would they do that though with only 3 episodes to go? I mean, like this is the one. I don't want to say the knock on this series is that I don't really know what they're getting at. I don't know what we're trying to accomplish. There's no end game that I can sort of see.
Yeah, what
at
are
this
they
point.
leading to, right? It could just be the fact they're leading to a new Captain America, and that's what all this is, and we're all hyping it too much again, like the Scarlet Witch, oh my God, they're going to bring in Mephisto and all these things. It could be another one of those scenarios where it just kind of like, okay, well, it was just like this funny little group trying to do this. It wasn't anybody big.
Yeah.
They could be doing that too, right? But it's hard to say. I still think that we're getting little mutant Easter eggs that maybe we're not even aware of yet, just because they got to be planning that for the next phase, right?
I would agree. I think they're planting it, maybe not with the intention of actually doing anything with it, but it's there just in case they want to sort of tap back into it later on in sort of the next phase of Marvel.
Yeah.
But here's what I don't understand.
I don't know, man. I don't know where this will lead to. It's
here's what I don't
really good.
I don't
what if
get
it's just a standalone and it literally like here's season 1, and then next year there's season 2 that just continues this little story, and is there
Marvel,
any
though.
chance that it's gonna just be a standalone that's kind of connected?
I don't know, it's like our buddy last week, right? Marvel. There's the Marvel way, and every step you don't do one thing without it leading to another thing, which is really smart. But yeah, that's a great question. Where will that end?
But what I don't understand is how did Helmut Zemo, Helmut Zemo, how did we go from a guy who was, in the army, like special forces, who lost his family in the Sokovia incident, and now he's a rich baron? Like,
well, no, he always was. What happened? No, he always was.
But that was lost in his initial Marvel
for sure
universe run. And so it seems like they've, I don't know, like retconning is sort of the buzzword now. But
I think Black Widow was really meant to come out before this one. And they've had to rearrange some scenes and stuff from what I've heard, just because they were back and forth, right? Like I've heard
Okay.
that that's it was, if it was supposed to come out before, and there's scenes of Black Widow with the vials that everybody has for the super.
Yeah.
She has red ones, and apparently she's bringing them to what's his name there, the guy who hates the Hulk.
The guy who hates the Hulk.
Oh God, I'm blanking on it. I was just naming it Thunderbolt Ross. Sorry.
Oh, Thunderbolt Ross. Sorry.
So
Okay.
She has red vials that turn him into the Red Hulk that happens in the comic book.
Oh,
Thunderbolt. Yeah. So General Ross turns into the Red Hulk, and she has red vials. So again, that kind of I think we're gonna get a big General Ross explosion at the end. I think something's gonna blend into it. I'm just.
I'll take William Hurt. I dig him. I think he's a great actor. I think he's the J. Jonah Jameson of the Marvel universe, like that kind of a character. Yeah. That what's his face? Now I'm blanking.
I
on
know,
the
right?
From I Love You Man and Hank Mardukas.
Paul Rudd.
No. The
Jason Segel.
Now, see, somebody quickly look it up because I feel terrible that I can't remember his name.
Is it the
guy who plays J. Jonah Jameson?
Oh,
no,
J. Jonah Jameson. Okay. Oh, jeez, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He was also in a DC movie playing somebody too.
All right, somebody, please, because I can't.
Great character actor. Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to remember
Simmons.
his name.
Jeez,
J.K. Simmons.
Okay, that's it.
Wow.
That's it? Well, you got
Age is causing issues here. No, I think William Hurt's great, but I gotta say, Daniel Bruhl is just I love him as Zemo. I think he's he is eating up. He's like just eating up the scenes that he's in. It's great.
He's another Tarantino guy, huh?
And I'm digging the dynamic between Falcon and Bucky, man.
Yeah,
like
bro thing's cool.
It's a cool sort of vibe that they've got going. But I don't see Marvel doing anything past one season. I think this is a 6-episode and done with the main characters. I just can't see them extending this without sort of affecting, because they're I hate to say it, but they're the Marvel Universe guys. They're the movie guys.
I feel
they're
it's a vehicle
Cloak
for
and Dagger or Luke Cage or something like that.
I feel it's a vehicle for the super soldier serum more than anything. I think what this is going to do is it's going to move this on, because we found the guy that created it, and that was huge. And we found out how they just the poor black dude that was the Captain America before. Right? Like he was tortured, he was beaten down, and that was so symbolistic in the art in that. Wow, like that's an issue. That the way it's drawn, everything about that series is incredible. So they went back to that and talked about that, and so the gentleman that they killed in there that was creating the super serum, right? The guy that was in there. Yeah. As soon as he died, they opened up on the place, because there's a lot of questions on, is that really him? Like, why would they blow up the place if that was him? But they didn't do that until he actually got shot. And then that's when the shit hit the fan, and they went after my old neighbor there as well and everything, right?
I thought I couldn't believe, good for her, because to get that role, and then, outside of stunt double stuff, she was clearly in it.
Yeah.
Like she was in there, and she was pretty badass, and go poor Perry, but she did really, really well. And I was really as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh shit, that's Emily from Poor Perry. But then,
but now we're getting
a significant role, though. It's a significant.
Oh yeah.
I thought she was great. I just thought she was perfectly cast.
But we're like I said, we're 3 episodes in. We've got 3 to go. Now you're also introducing Ao from Wakanda, from Black Panther now, and with that whole King T'Chaka, the revenge, that plot, so now
the episodes do they get longer? And Chris, you like to talk about them being in 3s. So we've had the first 3, to Mike's point, and the episodes are pretty short. Do they get hour long now, and the next 3
I don't know. Well, see, the difference between this and the Scarlet Witch is there isn't really a panned out story for this with what we got going on. They're bringing in something new. Like there's some elements that I recognize, but of course, as I mentioned, Baron Zemo, man, he's from 1964. He's like classic, so they can take him wherever they want. The thing that I did really like about Baron Zemo was that the guy had no superpowers. The guy had no super serum, soldier, whatever. He broke up the Avengers, man. Like, whoa. He caused that fight scene between Captain America and Iron Man without having any powers, and then he sat in his jail cell and was like, "No, man, I did what I wanted to do." Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I love the twist on the end of the Civil War when he had his recording and he was listening to his family, and you thought it was a phone call throughout the whole movie, and then at the very end it was just a message. He deleted it and he went to kill himself, and Black Panther scooped in there. And what a mature subject for a movie that is amazing. There's this guy who's had his life taken away by these superhuman beings, and he takes them down. You know what I mean? Like, why he gets his revenge.
But now we find that he was a rich guy all along, and it just I think that kind of soured me a little bit on it. But I mean, whenever he's on screen, you know, my wife and I, it's always we go back to that scene in Civil War.
Mike.
Yes, the dancing, the Matrix revolution.
Good. I was hoping you were going to get that, or I was going to look really weird.
I just think of that scene where he's in the hotel room and the waitress or the room service, you know, Herr Müller, schwarzer Kaffee mit Speck. Nein, that's all I think. He's Herr Müller, but no, it was great. Love it, digging it. And then
Glorious Bastards.
Now we gotta move on to Loki.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, I was gonna say, then yesterday, boom, here comes the trailer, the new trailer for Loki. And does this now mean that Lightning McQueen is part of the MCU universe?
Oh, I think so.
Maybe.
Next we need Larry the Cable Guy to make an appearance, and then we've got, you know, full blown, you know, Cars is in the Marvel universe. I loved the idea and the premise behind it, but I wanted to ask you, Chris, is this something new that Marvel has created? The whole time
cops?
You know,
no, there actually is time cops in the Marvel universe. Where the story's going to go? See, because this is going to take place after the first Avengers. So, you know how Loki kind of redeemed himself with Thor and Asgard and everything? That's not going to happen. So what happens here, basically, is he does this Loki thing, and he screws up all these timelines. The timeline cops, like you were mentioning, they go after him. And he has to go back and straighten out a bunch of things. Now, one thing I want to point out that is pretty neat that I'm going to personally enjoy, as being a guy who draws all day and watches YouTube. Are you guys familiar with the story of D.B. Cooper? Okay, he's
vaguely, yes.
A gentleman back in the 60s who
he was the guy that disappeared.
He hijacked a plane, got all this money, and then unbeknownst to the people driving the plane, parachuted out and has never been seen again. So, and there's an actual scene. So he does the DB Cooper thing, but he gets teleported out halfway down. So it's kind of like saying, well, that's what happened to DB Cooper. It was actually Loki, which is kind of cool. So, and of course they're going to bring in a female Loki. There's a female Loki in the comic books now, and they're rumoring she may be the villain. But what it is he screws up the timelines, and Owen Wilson goes in and says, hey man, look at this. And they shows him all the timelines he screwed up. One's an apocalypse, you know what I mean? And there's probably going to be a numerous amount of comedy in there and hilarity. So it's the Loki show. It's what everybody's screamed and demanded for, right? It's timelines. It's him being.
Oh, and Tom Hiddleston is brilliant.
Right? He's really good.
Cast a better actor in that role.
The only thing I have is I got nothing against the character like Loki and the actor or anything, but as a whole, you sit back and look at it, and it's like, you let him get away with all that stuff, like.
Well, he's the god of
mischief. I know, right? So I'm going to start telling people I'm the Lord of Beer, and then I can just get beer.
Of course,
it's okay, man. I'm taking your beer, but I'm the Lord of Beer. Oh, okay, Chris, that's all right.
There's a couple of lines in there that are really like a couple of lines where he actually says to Owen Wilson, he says, "You think you can outsmart me?" Like, so they're clearly trying to like. It's almost like he's like, "Well, I'll just play along with your little Yeah, I'll play along. But at any point, I could change all this. But I'll just play along, and
we get
this, you know,
we get Owen Wilson with a mustache. I mean, but it's the whole Owen Wilson. It's the whole. You know, hey, it's exactly. You know, we're gonna do this.
Yes, right.
And you know, you gotta fix the timeline. You know, it's crazy. You know, I'm just expecting Vince Vaughn to show up in a cameo at some point. You know, but I love the idea. Like at least now they've sort of fleshed out a bit more what we're kind of expecting. And I love that they've brought in the whole branching timeline, which the Ancient One sort of mentioned to Bruce in Endgame, and how, you know, you've got to put everything back, otherwise this goes here. So this could actually tie up a lot of those questions that came out of Endgame with, you know, Steve Rogers and what happened here, and even with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, with why all of a sudden is the world, you know, this really, you know, doom and gloom, as opposed to Peter Parker and, you know, going to Europe, and it's like European vacation.
And apparently this is the only show that got already green-lighted for a second season.
Oh, so they will do. See, and this is what I don't understand. Like I like the idea of the one and done with these main characters to sort of tie you over to the films. But you know, it's dollar bills at the end, and Disney is clearly figuring they're going to make a killing on subscriptions based solely on these shows and you know, the entire Star Wars.
You can't get out. So if you're trying to, for instance, like I'm still trying to watch Justice League because I'm like, do I have to subscribe to Crave? Just another thing to subscribe to, where I'm like, what can I get out of? Well, I can't get out of Netflix. I can't get out of Prime because, you know, I can't. I need it for deliveries.
And
I can't
Disney,
get it.
Man,
I can't get out of Disney because they keep dropping stuff. So I'm like, I guess, you know, the DC guy loses again.
Well, hey, maybe someday they'll come up with something for you DC guys.
Here's what I'll do, Brent.
It's called the CW Network.
There you get it. Yeah, there's tons of DC on there. Yeah, I'll just videotape it for you on my phone, dude. I'll sit there. We were gonna do hours.
Like, you know, the Sunday Hang this week, but they didn't put out the new
Superman,
the new Superman and Lois because of they hadn't filmed that far. So it's a whole thing, and they've left you.
Yeah, I love
video down. Video down.
I love what they're doing. I love what they're doing with the Marvel stuff, and the fact that they are really using this as a means to sort of set up these next couple of actual Marvel films, which, to be honest, aside from Black Widow, I mean, Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, again, that's something I'm not really super familiar with. I have no clue about. So I'm hoping that there's some sort of a tie-in, or it could be just like the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I had no clue, and that turned out to be gangbusters amazing. So, yeah, definitely.
I just got a word, or just saw a word that they're started on Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, see, that's
as far as filming.
Just give it to me. There isn't a weekend that goes by where we don't have at least one of the Marvel movies on, and even if it's just in the background. Like I probably have seen Infinity War and Endgame almost as much as I've seen the prequel Star Wars films in my entire life, just because it's
you know what's happened since you guys have started ripping on the new Star Wars is The Last Jedi was on the television yesterday.
Yes, on the showcase.
And the kids were like watching it, and I'm like, I have to watch it differently now because you know, you guys are you know, not enjoying it, and I'm like, I have to take myself back to being excited about seeing new Star Wars stuff, but then having it kind of go out, and I'm like, what's going on, you know? And
and I mean, the great thing about watching it on the regulars TVs this weekend was seeing things like I watched Solo again, and Solo is a movie that grows on me the more I watch it. There he is.
Sorry.
And the same goes for Rogue One. I watched Rogue One again, and I dig it the more I watch it. Yeah. So
I watched the Solo one too, buddy, and I was like, hey man, there's so many little things that I didn't notice.
Yeah, it's not bad. You know, it gets like I said, it's grown on me as time has gone, and I love me some Paul Bettany. You know, like dude.
Yeah, he's in there as well. Yeah. First thing Lonnie said, it's Vision. Yes, it is.
So yeah, Disney, they can just keep taking my money. Just take it, because that's about, one of the handful of things that gives me any joy in this COVID reality right now. And I will watch, I will watch Infinity War and Endgame and Doctor Strange. I'll watch them all. Just throw them on. They've become the new go to bed shows now. Right? It used to be Family Guy, which that too on the Disney, but now it's just throw that on. And, I think subliminally now I'm starting to just, be able to just memorize the entire movies. And so, just you can't take it from me at the parks. Take it from me on the subscription.
And I like the toy lines coming up.
I mean, the parks, you guys must be missing that. But did you get to Star Wars? Oh, look at Chris is out too. What's going on?
I'm back, aren't I?
What's happening with technology? What's going on in Kingston?
As a matter of fact, yes. Last March, just before it all went down, we were down there when the edict came that you better get home, and I got to see Galaxy's Edge. So I got my Star Wars fix. I got to fly the Falcon. I got to do the whole
awesome.
Empire, like the other ride. I forget what it's called, but yeah. So I got that.
The Kessel Run
makes me want to go back. And then so it's good. So we got Disney. We got the Disney love. And now we get to do the other nerdy love, which is the wrestling.
Well, as soon as Caryma changes her perspective on her camera.
So I'm trying to do it on a computer too. Like I'm just having a bad tech day. I don't know.
There we go. There we go.
Now
you did it.
Now we're doing this because you have a great background with the wrestling and the thing. And you got a belt back there, and you got the thing. Anyways, hi. Welcome Kids on the Escalator Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Caryma. I am a Toronto-based lawyer and a wrestling fan. And I will be starting on the Landlord Network soon, featuring stuff. I do editorial comics, so that's kind of my gig.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah, they're very, very good. I think Lonnie might have one or two there. She's going to pull up.
We're going to post some up here.
Yeah. And you see Mike's got the belt. You've got the best of WrestleMania DVD behind you, Caryma. What is that behind you there?
It's actually the rich history of the championship.
No?
Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Lovely. So you are a wrestling nerd too. I love it. Love it.
You know what makes wrestling? No, check this out though. She's a smart wrestling nerd.
Well,
she's a lawyer. She went to a school and stuff.
That's awesome.
She went to a school and got one of those things. Now, you posted a picture. Didn't you post a picture? I love this part though. You went to law school, but then you posted a picture of the other day of your graduation photo, but you didn't want to pay for the actual photo, so you posted it with the Jostens logo on it.
Basically, but it's the age of Photoshop, so I could probably figure that. I don't know if that would be illegal anyway. But yeah, I did not invest in the actual grad photos, but it was fun because they let you bring a prop for two of your photos, and some people bring books or friends or tiaras. But I had my wrestling belt, the spinner belt, actually.
I was gonna say that was the spinner belt. Yeah.
Well, welcome. It's Kids on the Escalator Podcast. We go Tuesdays, as you know. Caryma is joining the Dean Blundell Network. She's writing right now, but she's going to be joining with a podcast that's going to change everyone's lives, which is great. Nice. She's still coming up with a name, so jury's still out on that. And
I'm doing it democratically.
Are you?
I'm trying to log in the other ways, so I'm going to be normal. If that's okay.
Jury's out podcast.
I'm going to bring you in there.
I thought you're. Oh,
wow. She's going to try to log in on the other thing so she can be quote unquote normal.
There we go.
I have a computer.
We're tech's a big thing around here. I mean, if we don't get the tech right, Mike yells at us hard, so we got to get it right, Anyways, so wrestling. We're going to talk some stuff here. We just finished up a Marvel chat, Falcon and Winter Soldier, all that stuff, MCU, Loki and all that. Caryma's a big movie fan, but cool. We're going to get into some wrestling because it is WrestleMania weekend.
What's your favorite movie, though? If you're a big movie fan, what's your favorite movie?
No, I like horror movies. I would say Midsommar is my favorite movie.
No, that was a good one, right? I really enjoyed that as well. Yeah, that's a recent one. My favorite's The Shining, Jack Nicholson, and that. I watch that just when I'm bored with life. I put Shining on.
Has anybody started, like, getting off topic? Has anybody started The Stand yet?
Oh,
I've
my
seen
wife
The
has.
Stand.
Yes,
Yes.
my wife has.
On the Prime? On Prime? No?
I watched The Stand on the American feed. So
The only
I've
one
seen
without
it.
a belt here.
Yeah, I got
You got your
to
belt
show my
with
belt
you?
now too. I got another one upstairs. That's really cheap.
Yeah,
My
my belt's
wife-
in
so-
My wife
case
was
out
watching
there.
it until Amber Heard was on there, and then she's like, "No, you dissed Johnny Depp."
I'm gonna get my belt.
See, we all gotta have our belts, right? It's awesome.
this
And
is
Brent,
my-
the funny thing is, Brent, I did give you a belt way back in the day. I got a picture of you with it at Zig's apartment, and we gave you a belt. We did.
This
Look at this.
the Bubba
Oh,
Ray Dudley.
look at us! This
The
is,
Bubba Ray
we
Dudley.
got to get a shot of this for the.
Yeah.
We definitely got
For
to
the
get a
thing.
shot of this. Yeah. Can you get a shot? Of that?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll get out of the
That's-
shot.
Look at the belts. Oh wait, no, you got to get in the shot.
I
You
have
are
another
the
one
belt.
too. I should
I'll
have
do
both of
this.
them. So,
I'll do it like this
Okay.
so people can. There we go.
yeah, seriously, we're getting a shot of this right now, everybody. Here we go. One,
Everyone, 3,
two,
2.
Hang on, hang on.
3. Nice. That's awesome.
All right.
Programming.
I like it.
101.
I like it a lot.
Let's see
WrestleMania
what-
weekend.
okay,
I got
do
to
you
point
got
out that my
there?
wife grabbed me the lightweight belt instead of the
cruiserweight.
heavyweight belt.
That's
Come
the
on,
cruiserweight, is it not?
It's the
Yeah.
the cruiserweight belt instead of the heavyweight
I'm
belt.
trying to see. Okay, so you've got the spinner belt on one shoulder,
Nice.
And
and what's on that one? Oh, and you've got.
Oh
the
yeah, I
universal.
like that one.
All right, excellent.
Okay, we're in. We're all in here, Brent.
I've
We're all
got
in.
a picture of me with a belt, but it's an actual belt.
Oh no, yeah. Well,
Oh, was
Bret
it?
Hart,
It's with
right?
Brett's winged belt.
Maybe, or
Or
another one. A different one from a different place and a different person that might have
I know. Oh, I think I know that person you're talking about.
might have let me hold the belt. The belt. Anyways.
The rated R spinner belt.
I'm offline again.
Is
I
that
keep
the one you're
hitting
No,
talking
we're
that
talking
thing
a
there.
championship. We're talking
Oh,
about
okay.
it's a whole thing. Anyways, Caryma,
Okay.
it's WrestleMania weekend. Are you watching? Are you subscribed to all the things? Are you tuning in someplace not? Well, I guess I can't ask you if you're tuning in someplace not legal, but are you?
yeah, I will be observing and watching the events. Yes, in some fashion, for sure.
I'm trying to figure out a way to watch it without
Paying?
subscribing because I mean,
Peacock. And, WWE Network, like, it was the worst, and I feel like there was a competition law, something or another, because you had to get Rogers or your local cable, even if you didn't want cable and you just wanted the network. And in the States, you can go buy like a gift card and then just log on online. But now they can't do that anymore either, I guess. I think it was a conspiracy of sorts.
There are some crazy ways that I've discovered over the last 2 weeks because, the network on Peacock is terrible. And I know that it's in transition, and Triple H was interviewed earlier this week and asked about it, and he's got to toe the line and say, well, like anything, they're working out the kinks and blah, blah. But it's awful. They
Why
don't
is
have...
it bad? What's wrong with it?
They haven't migrated over a good chunk of the library. Plus, Peacock is going through and sanitizing the stuff that they're going to actually have on the network. So they've been cutting out stuff that may not fit their standards and practices.
That's like
Which-
the whole attitude era.
I was just going to say, you may as well. But like I said on the pod last week, they're going through all this and they're cutting all these things out. Yet you can watch Hostel on Peacock. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I can't make it through
So-
those movies, man. Wow, those are.
Yeah. So
you can't
I'm
make
sure-
it through those movies.
Well,
I'm
just the
sure
torture
they'll-
ones. I like horror, but not torture.
I'm sure they're going to get it sorted out. They said by August they should have most of the stuff transferred over. But as I was saying to the guys, I was chatting with our buddy Adam and said, well, looks like the Edge and Christian show did not make the cut, whether or not that's because Mr. Cage has gone to AEW or if it just hasn't been transferred over yet. So that was a bit of a disappointment because, I would have loved to have been able to say, I'm on Peacock now. That'd be great. So, but...
Brian
trying
had a
to find a
great
really good
match
belt.
with Hank Kazarian there, man. That was a really good match. I just
Oh,
watched that
Frankie
the other night.
Kazarian? Yeah. I thought that was probably one of the best AEW shows that they've put on. It's
getting better,
Which,
huh,
ironically,
buddy?
they had well, not horrible ratings, but the ratings weren't that great. So, which just goes to show you that a great show doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
equal
no,
great
you know,
ratings.
I mean, the winner, yeah.
So
Now,
we want to talk WrestleMania a bit.
Yes.
One of the things I want to get into is before we won't really, the card's going to take forever to run down. So what I want to start with is WrestleMania memories. So I want to talk about like our top 3 favorite WrestleMania moments that stand out, like the top 3 right at the top of your head. You're like, without a doubt, these 3 are my favorite WrestleMania moments. Caryma, since you are our guest, you get to go first today. What are your top 3 WrestleMania moments?
Okay, well, I'm gonna say Daniel Bryan's win. That was a good one.
Over Randy Orton and like the whole day, like the whole thing.
The iconic, like, I guess
The build up, the everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Okay, I was at WrestleMania 18 also, so
Nice.
I am gonna go ahead and say that even though I know the match objectively was like whatever, The Rock and Hogan was really like a
WrestleMania 18. WrestleMania 18.
that was
Have you been to a WrestleMania?
master class.
Have you been to one, Caryma? Have you been to a WrestleMania?
that was the one that I attended, the only one. I've been
Nice.
to SummerSlam and Survivor Series though, and Raw, etc.
Our good buddy.
That was a
Smart.
master class that was a master class in on how to read a crowd, because the idea, Hogan was the heel, Rock was the face, Toronto would have nothing to do with that, and they read that and they took that and they made it into this unbelievable moment. Just that whole stare, like, and that's the one thing I love about The Rock is that at that time nobody did facial expressions better than he did.
That's true. The people's
And
eyebrow.
it's just that, it's the look and seeing it and hearing it, and like you just know that they've figured out, okay, this is what we've got to do, even though this isn't what we were intending to happen. And I think that's something that gets lost now. I don't think you have necessarily a generation of talent now that are willing to take that chance or given that chance to do something like that, because it is very, compartmentalized and scripted, and no, this is the direction we're going. Roman Reigns will be our big face champion, no matter how much they're booing him, until we decide he's a way, way better heel than a face. So, yeah, Hogan.
I think I missed your
Dynamite.
second one, Caryma. Might cut out. What was it? You went Daniel Bryan. You went Hogan, Rock.
Hogan Rock was my second one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Kofi Kingston's win.
Oh, yes.
Those are all pretty recent.
And I think that
Nice.
Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston, like I mean, they're underdogs is the wrong word, but like they really had to fight for their due, I feel. So that was gratifying in a way that a lot of moments sometimes get squandered, like those ones you really can win.
And 2 different scenarios, because I don't think they wanted to go with Bryan, and then I think it was just so overwhelmingly I just think that they ended up doing it in the end, because you could tell kind of the way it was going that it was, I don't want to say rewritten, but it definitely felt at the end like they had to get there. Kofi was like, this guy, like that was, it wasn't out of nowhere because he's definitely paid his dues, but it was very like, wow, they're really building this up to him winning, and it looks like he's going to win, and they're giving the fans exactly what they want, and they kind of started with that, and there was never a doubt in my mind that he wasn't gonna really.
Well, there was that whole, a similar build to what happened to Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
I mean, he was put into the elimination chamber when Mustafa Ali was injured, and everybody to a person backstage loves Kofi. I mean, he really is just an unbelievable guy. And you know what? I think everybody really wanted this for him more than maybe he wanted it. And the fact that they let him run with it, and he ran with it, and it was great. And, I again, those are those moments where, you can say that the fans don't know what they want, and that Vince knows what the fans want, and no. This is where you got to listen to what the crowd is saying. And when he won, that was huge, and all that emotion, from Xavier Woods and Biggie, like, and his family's there, like that's the stuff, like that's the gold that, you can't manufacture that. You can't sort of, okay, this is what we're gonna do, or this is how it's gonna happen. You can't do that. And I think Vince, maybe
it's through telling stories.
realized,
It tells stories though too. Lots of near falls and all that. Chris, so Caryma went new, a little bit newer with her stuff. Where are you going with yours?
I'm gonna take it total. So WrestleMania 1, my favorite moment. One was just 3 of them. So WrestleMania 1, it being announced. See, I'm a little older, so when I was a little nargan, this was just like, are you kidding me? And then my second thing was like, I can see this on pay-per-view. That's my second greatest moment. And then third would have to be, but there's a 2.5, and that's knowing that I couldn't get to watch it. And then getting the highlights after was just, when I was younger, it was such a mystique. WrestleMania 1 was like, and it was the make or break for that company. And as a little nargan, I don't know if you could feel it, but you could feel the world circling around this event. And especially, the saddest thing was Mr. T was one of the things that made it really, really big. And he's not even like a real wrestler kind of thing, right? But good for him to jump in. And that created the whole rock and wrestling combination that, it jumped. So I shouldn't say Mr. T was a bad thing at all. It's funny because I watched a documentary on WrestleMania 1, and a lot of the wrestlers were like, "Oh, Mr. T gets to come in," like I would have loved to be in here and stay, So I didn't mean to say that, but I was just kind of going off the other wrestlers. I felt bad for them.
Sure, they weren't complaining about the checks that they got.
No. But you want to be in WrestleMania 1, and it's like, okay, we're bringing in Mr. T instead of you. And it was like, it's kind of a bummer. But everything about WrestleMania 1, to me as a kid, the mystique about it, and as I mentioned earlier, we were talking about, it's just, I knew when it was on, and I couldn't watch it. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening right now. Right now. And I was a huge Roddy Piper fan as well. I had the T-shirt. I keep smacking the table. I had the Hot Rod shirt and everything back in the day, and I was a total devout WWF fan. I got some magazines to show later too that I got, like the classic ones from back in the day.
Look at that.
Bret Hart in his Canadian tuxedo there, looking at the ocean and the lake or wherever he was at there. Great stuff. But funny. I took a different route, but my 3 favorite moments just surround, not even matches in
mystique. I love it. The mystique of it, because it was a lot, and that magic. It's funny, Mike, you and I touched on this. I think we talked about it last year during our chat, but the magic of that, and listen, people are going to hammer on you for being wrestling fans and all the rest of it. But when they get it right, I'm just saying, when they get it right, it's magic. When it's written right and the character you're so ingrained in is right, it is magic. They've written it perfectly well. And that only happens. It really only happens if you think about all the different matches and everything that's happened and all this build up for all the manias and all the rest of it. But how often do they get it perfectly right? And it started with the mystique. The mystique of WrestleMania itself is so right. It was just such a big thing for us growing up. My God, 85 to like 90? Come on. Yeah. Then it comes to Toronto, WrestleMania 6. Are you kidding me? It was like my head was exploding.
I got that too. I remember when it came to Toronto and it was just
I was there, oh my God.
It was back in the day, and again, showing my age, it was like Motley Crue coming to Toronto. It was like, oh my God, Motley Crue is in Toronto right now. As a young headbanger, right? It was the same thing, but wow, WrestleMania is in Toronto. It's like just over there. Because I was living in, I would have been in Ingersoll, London, Ontario at that time.
Caryma, Mike, I'll get to you 1 second on your picks, but Caryma, where were you sitting for WrestleMania 18?
Probably 5 rows from the top of the Skydome.
Woo, me too. My parents only had $29 to put me there, so that's where it was.
My mom surprised me at the very last minute with tickets that she got bootleg from school somehow. I had no idea I was going until the weekend. Amazing.
I remember going. So funny story about WrestleMania 6. So my a girl in my class, Lindsay Dukowich, won the ringside passes from the Toronto Sun, and the $1 Million Man gave her the money. Or no, they gave her the money after the $1 Million Man lost. So that whole thing, and so there's a whole video of her holding up the money at the front of the thing, and she was the only other person from the school that went. So we showed up in all of our WrestleMania gear, and everyone's like, "You losers, look at you!" And I'm like, ah. Anyways, it was great. Michael, top 3.
Oh wow, yeah. See, I'm like you, Chris. I was around for WrestleMania 1, and again back then. And this is the difference between then and now. now there's so much. I've seen behind the curtain. I've seen the wizard. So there are still moments that genuinely surprise me, but not like back then. Like, for example, WrestleMania 1, I thought it was cool because, Cyndi Lauper was part of this whole thing. And like that guy that was in Rocky 3, like, now there's this big show around him and Mr. T's and, A-Team. Like, so that sucks me in. But first on the list, WrestleMania 3, I got to say, I mean, it's a tie. Macho Man and Steamboat, that whole setup, like the build, oh my God, he dropped him on his throat like he's got a crushed larynx. And
the magic.
Like, that's when I was a kid, that was like, oh my God, Ricky Steamboat's lost his voice, he can't breathe. And then he wins. And I remember, because I had no way of going. Like, we would go to the Maple Leaf Gardens shows around 85, 86. But then like WrestleMania was never going to happen. So I remember the Toronto Sun actually had their early editions and their late editions. And the early edition had results from the matches. So that's how I found out that Steamboat won the Intercontinental title. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But way before, the Hogan Andre thing. So 1A, Macho Man Steamboat, 1B, Hogan Andre. Like, that was back then, again,
the biggest thing ever.
It was insane to think that, oh my God, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, a bad Andre the Giant, are going to fight. Even though in later years you discover, man, they wrestled a lot in the early 80s, against each other. So that was number one. The number two, probably, again, back in that time frame, Hogan and Warrior in Toronto. I didn't get to go, and that was another one of those crushing things. Like, no, it wasn't going to happen. But again, Hogan lost. What? In Toronto? What? So again, back then as a kid, like, I'm eating this stuff up. Like, it's the coolest thing in the world. Then if I got to go further down the line, there's a bunch of stuff. Like, there's a whole lot of 3 ABCs all the way to Z's. Hogan and Brett Brett and Owen from WrestleMania 10. I mean, there's the ladder match from WrestleMania 10. The Stone Cold Shawn Michaels, like the Brett Shawn. Like, there's a lot of.
You're only allowed 3, Mike.
I know.
You're allowed 3. Let's go.
My children. But I will say, probably I gotta agree. The Hogan Rock, man, that was electric. That was amazing to watch it live. Again, that's at a time where the internet was there, but you're not expecting it to go this way. And when you're watching it live and you're seeing it, and now you're old enough to kind of realize, oh man, they're gonna do this. Oh, they are switching sides mid-match. Like, it's amazing. And that's the stuff that, like, you like to sort of, sink your teeth into. And that's what, as a fan, if you forget about the internet and forget about all the things and the people and how it all works, I mean, that's that kid, like, oh, this is amazing, type feel. So
speaking of The Rock so much, should I throw that quiz out, that one question?
No, I still got to give you my 3.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Brent.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I just thought it was a quick one. I just thought while we were on the subject of
Sure, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Get it.
Who was the original wrestler that was called The Rock?
Oh, that's an easy one.
Really?
Come on. Yeah, easy.
Okay.
Easy. I've
got it.
I'll throw it to the audience first. No, this one's an easy one.
Okay, we'll give.
Caryma, how's your 80s wrestling?
Garbage.
Oh no! You know.
I was
Okay.
born in '89. I don't know.
All right.
Managed at the time by one superstar, Billy Graham. Yeah, brother. That would be the former Magnificent One, would it not, sir?
Yes.
Don,
He was supposed
The
to
Rock.
be in WrestleMania 1, but for some reason they didn't put him in there, and he had this big battle going on with Ricky Steamboat at the time. And they didn't put him in there. It was a weird thing.
Don Morocco.
Okay, so
Right
sorry,
there.
Brent. I just thought because we
No,
were talking
how
about The Rock
about
so
when
much.
Don? Then they tried Don Morocco going good, and that was like people were like,
Yeah, that
maybe.
did with the tie-dyed shirts and stuff, or was that?
Maybe we could get into a whole bunch of wrestlers that were underutilized after that.
I always liked Don Morocco. He had that one vein in his arm that was like the Hulk. It was like, holy crap! Watch out for that guy.
All right. Okay, so I gotta go. Mike, yeah. So Steamboat and Savage for me, at the time it was like I couldn't even believe it. Like what a match! And I was able to watch it. I was able to watch it at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium. They were showing it on closed
circuit. Yes,
that was
the buzz phrase back then.
Unbelievable moment. Closed circuit. And if you missed it, you had to do what Chris did, and like all of us did. You couldn't wait to get on Saturday afternoon and watch like all these Maple Leaf Wrestling and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
fun,
so anyways, I gotta go. I gotta do a little shout out. I haven't touched on it very much. Chris, the belt you have on your shoulder currently is what?
What's this?
Yeah, the name of that. Can you read that out for the audience at home?
There you go. It's the World Heavyweight
Look at that belt
Wrestling
there.
Championship. That's
so
like
this belt here, my child, I wouldn't touch it because it's like the Stanley Cup thing for me. I'm like, I'm not going to touch it, but let the kids touch it.
That's
so
the real
anyways,
one, right?
A few years ago, we've got, it's a bit of a thing. I don't touch on it very much, but I've got a good friend of mine.
He looks like a ghost. Now you can kind of see it's Bret Hart.
I got a friend of mine that's, might let the kids wear the stuff and all that stuff.
That's pretty cool.
I don't have the belt on me right now, but I do have a great shot of that belt, Chris, that you have on your shoulder. Well,
here's my shot of Bret Hart. I got to share my shot of Bret. There's Bret Hart right there.
That's right. He actually was wearing that day, and I said,
Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, we got Bret was wearing
my daughter come up, and I showed this to my daughter, who's like early 20s, and she's, Canadian tuxedo. That's great, Dad.
I was like, anyways, great guy, always connected through our buddy Adam, who and it's all connected to Pearl Jam and the whole thing. So shout out to Classy Bret for letting the kids wear the belt. Anyways, so Bret and Austin, WrestleMania 13, the double turn. So for me at the time, it started everything. Well, sorry, not at the time, but it was like it started the whole second phase of the Attitude Era. It started everything because the turn happened right then. Bret turns on the fans, turns into like Canada versus America. Everyone in the world was talking about it because Austin was like, in America, they were stomping the shit out of him. In Canada, the Canadians were stomping the shit out of him. What an incredible time. Bret was like the ultimate, like just went back into that heel mode that we hadn't seen from him in forever.
I like him as a heel. I really like Bret as a heel.
So that for me, 13, he makes Austin bleed out, and it's like,
and the visual of that too was pretty amazing.
Unbelievable. Like it's just unbelievable. Okay, WrestleMania 4, Macho Man wins the tournament. And is the first small guy, mid-carder, to hold the belt. So at that point, it was all Hogan all the time, which it needed to be. But at that point, I think everyone was ready for a change. What had happened? Well, obviously, we have the main event. Andre steals the belt. The tag team champion, if you remember, he announced that he passes the tag team championship over to Ted DiBiase.
Yes, on the main event.
On the main event where
he watched that as well. Yeah,
they do I don't know if Caryma, do you remember this one? They swap the referees. I don't know if you've seen it online, but the two Hebners screwed Hogan over. And anyways, Andre wins the belt.
Who paid for the plastic surgery? And as a kid, I'm like, man, they really got somebody to get plastic surgery look like Dave Hebner.
And then at that time, I'm like, oh my God, as a kid, I'm like, they're gonna give it to DiBiase. Oh my God. And then the belt goes vacant. And then they have a tournament for a new champion. And you're looking at it at that point going, well, Hogan's gonna win it. And then he gets disqualified. And if you look at the tournament now, you're like, no brainer, Macho was the one. But at the time, I'm like, Steamboat. Fuck, he's out. Jay White, who else was in it? Like Bret wasn't in it at that point. There was all these guys that you thought might do it, and then
Natural Butch Reed,
Coca Beware,
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
So anyways, it was Macho Man, wins the title, and I just remember I was at Crandall's in Port Perry watching it on pay-per-view.
There you go,
big screen, and I remember we went nuts because I couldn't believe the Macho Man had won that, and of Steamboat and Savage. So Savage has got two of mine.
Nice. Well, he's a great wrestler, man.
So
really good. So
Caryma, when did you start watching wrestling?
So I was like little when we started, but it was pretty much only the main event of the week, right? And then we stopped having cable for a long time. So I got back into it probably when I was 10, 11. So that would have been, like DX.
Oh, the heart of the Attitude Era. Okay.
Yeah, so right then and there. And then, it's been in phases for me. Although I've always like kind of kept an eye on it. I've watched religiously at different points.
So now back then, I mean, as a 10-year-old girl, what compared to now, like my daughter is 13, and a couple of years ago, she was really like, she was my little wrestling buddy that we would go to independent shows, and she loved watching the women wrestling. So like people like Bailey and Becky Lynch, like Bailey is her, like that was her, favorite. But as a 10-year-old girl, you didn't really have the same kind of experience.
There was like bra and panty matches. In retrospect, it was really weird. Actually, I mean, when I'm like nostalgically watching clips, it's I understand maybe why Peacock was sanitizing some things, but it's part of the fun, I suppose.
I mean, it was a different time, obviously.
Yeah, there was China, right? So there was China, and she was super cool.
Yeah, poor China. Yeah, she did try really, like, she was in there, man. She was like, fighting men. She was doing really good.
Lita then a little bit after, and they were kind of the rough and tumble. But even that, like, which is a stifled era.
It's kind of like I think it's kind of sad that that little girls didn't have that necessarily the same kind of experience that sort of the 10-year-old girls or the girls have now.
There was no female wrestling role model back in like.
I mean there
early
were,
days.
but it was still very much sort of male centric and male focused, and that was the idea.
More, definitely.
Whereas now it's like it's crazy to watch what the women do and how they've changed the perception of females in wrestling. And and again, I just watched on the network the documentary that they did on Beth, the Icon series, which is a fantastic, like I've said this before, the documentary crews that they have there, and apparently now they've got some members of HBO that are helping out with the docs as well, which will take it to an even bigger level. But watching the documentary on Beth, I'm biased, yes, but just to see the story of how she sort of came up and what her idols were, and she was one of those girls that looked at China and thought, "Hey, I'm not the the stereotypical bra and panties diva girl. She lifted weights. She was on the guys' wrestling team, and she looked at China as like China was this role model for her to be like, you know what? I don't have to look that part. I can be physical. I can be an athlete and still, be feminine as well and have all those things. So it's interesting to hear the perspective from somebody who was, a little girl during that really male heavy dominated sort of time.
Caryma, who are you watching now? Is there anybody on the women's side that's really standing out for you? Whether it be AEW or WWE.
Yeah, do you watch AEW or just strictly WWE?
Yeah, I'm a Jericho fan, so
there we go.
Yeah.
Well, they had a great segment just a little while ago, huh? Against was the Inner Circle deal going on? There was really
Pinnacle
good.
And
and your buddies are in there too. Yeah. So you do like the AW? See, I'm a big Hikaru Shida fan. I really like her. I think she's great from the AW.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bianca Belair actually. I think that she's a lot of fun, and I was very excited when she won the Rumble. So that's someone who I'm rooting for. I would like her to win.
We'll get the predictions on that for sure. I think it's going to be good.
There's definitely a really cool sort of I don't want to say Renaissance female wrestling, like speaking of AEW, the match between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker,
dude.
Like the blood match was like that's the kind of thing that again, you go back to the early 90s.
We both have cats, sorry. And my cat's right here. Do you have a gray cat? I'm sorry, do you have a gray cat?
It's a black cat. I have 2 black cats.
Okay, I got 1 gray cat, 1 calico, and 1 tabby, and they're in here. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, just cat people, right? High five.
I was just saying, yeah, it's really cool to see what is happening now, and seeing this whole, this movement. I mean, they started with the female, the women's revolution or evolution, and now where you're getting these unbelievable matches from these women that, are doing things that, again, 10, 15, 20 years ago, it would be unheard of, and
so that's,
and you don't have Jerry Lawler screaming puppies.
To that point, then, Caryma, who do you consider to be the greatest women wrestler of all time?
Ooh,
then?
Good question. Good
Oh
question.
my god.
If you
Tough question, but good question.
It's a tough one, but I mean, because there's there's a lot to pick from. If you're talking trailblazing women, or you're talking just in
China
general.
had such a rough go, though. Like, at her time, when China was in there, she was a product of her surroundings, man. Like, I don't think she made very many choices on her own, other than what she was drinking that night, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
I
later
do feel bad for her.
stages.
Yeah, like, I feel bad for her. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
What do you think,
thought there.
Caryma?
So I was at the Toronto Survivor Series when and Asuka was there. She was like for NXT, and that was the first time that I saw her live. And I didn't actually have any expectations. I didn't know much about her going in, and she's phenomenal. And even though especially when she's speaking Japanese on the mic, I really like. But her personality is just so. It seems lovely. It seems like she's like just a very unproblematic, unbothered person
Very
who
pure.
just
Yeah, I get
will
that.
like tear someone apart. And I don't love the way that she's been, the storylines that she's gotten sort of past that point. But I think that she really has the chops.
I remember, so this goes back to what WrestleMania was it? It was the one in New Orleans when we were down there filming stuff for the Edge and Christian show. That Hall of Fame, the one where the Dudleys went in, and Edge and Christian did the induction for that. So I was Beth's sort of pseudo date because Adam was back with Jay getting all set. And we got to our seats, and Asuka was sitting by herself at the end of the row, and I'm sitting there with Beth, and I'm like, oh my God, Julie, like my daughter Julie would love this if I got a picture. So I don't speak Japanese at all.
No way.
But and I hadn't met her at that point, and I just asked him, like, oh my God, you're wonderful, and my daughter would absolutely love it if I could get a picture. And she was so sweet, and like I'm sure there was absolutely no understanding of what I was saying, but she was such like just amazing. And that was, I took that away from that whole weekend, like
Wow.
that seeing these people and realizing that a lot of the talent that you kind of hope and wish are like nice and good and would be cool to hang out with are the ones that are like that.
That's
so
wild. I love Japanese samurais. Like, if you read my comic book, you'll see that. But there was a documentary on a Japanese wrestler, and it was a female wrestler, and one of her friends left the WWF and went back, and she was a very famous wrestler. And there was a moment between them, and the female wrestler says, you were my only friend here, because they could speak the language to each other, I guess, and whatever. And she was so sad that she left. I don't know if that's the same wrestler, or if you guys remember
that would be
about.
Kairi Sane.
I felt for that. I was just like, oh my God, like, damn, like, and because the one stayed there, the other one left. Yeah, that's a story right there, man. And she just picks up. And
but it's
kicks
something to
everyone's
build
ass.
towards down the thing. You could definitely write off of that and be like,
oh, I could, but I think
I
for her
left and you
character,
didn't
like,
come with me. I didn't let, and I'm coming back to kick your ass.
Now
what a strong human being. My point is, what a strong person.
You're thinking like a Mark. Damn it, you're thinking like.
Let's
a
go.
Mark.
All right, it's prediction time.
What a
We got to
strong
get into what do. It's prediction time. We're going to get into a couple little things here. I don't want to get into like a big thing. I'm going to just run through the card for WrestleMania. You guys give me your 20-second like this because of this.
You can add a couple more for me because I have no idea. I'm
right.
Classic.
No, okay. So we got Tag Team Turmoil. Naomi, Lana, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Riot Squad, Natalia, Tamina. Go. It's Caryma. Who's taking that down?
Maybe the Riot Squad.
Riot Squad on the comeback. Mike?
I would love to see the Riot Squad. I think Ruby and Liv are not only they're really super people, but I think they totally deserve it. I also Natty is another dear friend. So Natty and Tamina, I kind of see that happening. I think Natty gets the WrestleMania moment with Tamina. I think they beat Nia and Shayna. Easy.
All right. How many tables can Lana go through before they give her something? So I'm going to give Naomi and Lana to win on this one. Just
kudos to Lana, man. She has worked her butt off to step outside the shadow of Rusev.
Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Looks like that YouTuber's coming into this thing. Caryma, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
I want it to be Sami Zayn. But yeah, I want it to be Sami Zayn. I'm just going to go with what my heart wants.
Sami Zayn. All right. Yeah. Mike?
You know what? I just want to see both of them beat the crap out of Logan Paul. That's, you know what?
Another double turn?
Both guys are awesome. And sort of just a quick sidebar, when we shot a sketch with the two of them. It was the Kevin and Sammy Meilleurs Amis podcast where they were doing a podcast in French with Edge and Christian, and they would ask questions in French, and they would be kind of rude and disrespectful questions. And then Sammy would be like, "Oh, no, he was saying this." And it was like one of those, and they would be making jokes, haha. And of course, like the last joke is like, how do you say thank you? He's like, mange la merde. Oh yeah, I love mange la merde. And Jay, I just eat the merde all day long. No, just laughing. They're just really good guys. So I either of them would be great, but I just want to see them both beat up Logan Paul.
I think that's going to happen. I'm taking an Owens heel turn with him and Sammy are going to turn on Logan, and it's going to be a whole thing. So there we go. I move Chris.
Oh no, I
on a whim. I know you don't know who it is. Make the call. Hulk Hogan. All right.
Man, I don't know, man.
Big E versus Apollo Crews. Caryma.
I'm going to go with Big E for this one.
Big E for this one. All right. Any guess? Any why? You just like him? You want him to win?
Yeah, I'm ready for him to escalate and have a title. So
sure.
Let's climb that ladder.
Mike?
I'm going to say Apollo Crews for that exact reason that Caryma just said. I think Big E, it's time for him to make the jump. And the Intercontinental title is the stepping stone.
I think it's Apollo as well, but with Big E entering the heavyweight title picture after this. So there we go. Cesaro, Seth Rollins, kind of an interesting match, and sort of like
the King of Swing.
They kind of I don't want to say it. It's kind of weird. It's kind of an interesting kind of match that's randomly on the card. That would be like a Monday Night Raw. All right, Caryma, go.
I don't know the storyline behind this, but
it's called Cesaro. Cesaro needs a win.
They don't.
Yeah. It's called Cesaro needs his mojo back. So that's what it's called. Okay, Cesaro, what do you think there, Mike?
I think Seth Rollins wins, but Cesaro gets the 37 swings.
Okay.
Because it's WrestleMania 37, right? So he'll do 37 swings.
Riddell, Sheamus.
Bro.
Then I'm going with Sheamus.
Bro.
I hate this character so much. I hate that character.
But it's not a character.
I get it. I know he's a thing.
Legit.
Yeah.
I
don't like anyone who wrestles without shoes except.
There you go.
That's weird, right? I thought the same thing. The Von Erichs, right?
Their feet are probably sweat. I don't know. Anyway.
Who do you like here? I mean, Sheamus doesn't really need the win. Riddell does. I'm guessing Riddell probably, right? Retains. Whatever. Strowman, McMahon, another one. They built a cage. They're doing a cage, which means what, Mike?
Absolutely nothing. It means Shane's going to do a stupid bump.
That's what I mean.
For no good reason. And I missed this, but apparently on Raw they added sound effects of a train when Braun Strowman was doing his little run around. Yeah,
really.
Dumb, terrible, dumb.
How long before Strowman's out of the WWE?
Oh no,
I'm seeing his trajectory. It's interesting. Anyway, Strowman, McMahon. What do you like here, Caryma?
I agree that it's been sort of a brutal lead up. I want Braun to destroy him.
I like that.
Shane O'Mac off the cage be safe, Shane. He's almost 60. Okay, this is an interesting one. The Miz, rad dude, actually did a shout out, cut a promo on Alex in California backstage at Korn. Nice. The Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. This could go many, many ways. Caryma.
I feel like it would be. I think Bad Bunny. He's been here for a very long time. I mean, relative to like celebrities just sort of popping in. So I feel like if they are successful, that might be laying foundation for more time here. So I think it might be that.
Mike.
I think Damian Priest is the future. Bad Bunny is eyes on the product, and he really has gone above and beyond what most celebrities tend to do when it comes to being sort of like fly-in guests. I think they reward them with a big win for the musical act and a big win for the kid that's probably going to be, carrying the company in 5-10 years.
I'm going Miz Morrison split due to miscommunication. Classic wrestling writing. Classic wrestling writing. That they're going to split. Bad Bunny is going to get the pin, aka Bobby Heenan on Coco Beware, and then, way back in WrestleMania 5. But there is I'm going to throw a twist into the mix. I like your idea of Priest being the future, but I feel like there is going to be some, and they just continue that going because it gets eyes on it. Priest turns on him, goes heel in sort of that whatever. So that I'm calling that out. There we go. Okay, here we go. Caryma, Asuka, Rhea Ripley.
I feel maybe Rhea Ripley. She's newer. She's
due.
Building herself up. I think that's and she's good. I really like watching her actually.
Michael.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley. She with Charlotte's sort of status being unknown at this point, especially with Andrade getting his release. I'm thinking they're going to hitch their wagons to Rhea Ripley until Becky Lynch is ready to come back, and then you're going to have a monster main event next year.
Speaking of monsters, The Fiend and Randy Orton.
The Fiend. Okay, I know about The Fiend, man.
That guy. Chris is going.
No, I just that is a great character as a comic book artist, man. So I'd like to hear what you guys think about that because I like those characters.
Kareema, what do you like here?
It's a weird match like the John Cena one was last year, but like not weird like it was at whatever the last event was, Fastlane or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Orton doesn't really need the win here, and neither does The Fiend. Neither one of them really needs the win. I think this is going to be something about Alexa Bliss on this one.
Ooh.
Hey man, she has done wonders with this character and with this whole angle. I mean, between her and Randy, I've said this before, Randy's done his best work in the last year and a bit. So I think we see The Fiend get the win, but everybody wins because, it's just they're three amazing talents.
Yeah, The Fiend, but interesting whether they're gonna drop the ball after this with him because it just keeps kind of seem to be getting reset. He needs something really good. Fiend, Damian Priest, down the road that could be a good one. All right, we're getting into the meat and potatoes here. New Day, AJ Styles, Amos. Go ahead, Caryma.
There's obviously been tension between AJ Styles and Omos, so. I feel like maybe the New Day gets another third partner. I don't know.
Interesting.
Ooh. I didn't even think of that.
I'm gonna go. Let me go 1 sec, Mike. I'm gonna go the other way with that. I'm gonna say it's a New Day loss with AJ and Amos with the breakup of the New Day. It's you don't like. You don't like? I think they're going to lose the title. I think they're going to lose the titles. I think they're going to lose the titles. You got. I think we need a Kofi heel again. I'm ready for that.
I think schmaz. I don't think nobody wins here. I think this is really. This is probably the weakest of the tag matches in the long. It's just lazy booking. It's lazy. There's no reason. This is just getting AJ on the show because they didn't come up with anything better.
Do you think he had something to do with that?
No. I just think it's they.
I've just heard things about him being a little pushy.
They're punishing him for having a Twitch channel.
Nah, nothing like that. Honestly, I just it's meh. It's meh.
Does that mean AJ to AEW?
No,
Ooh,
Michael. Anyways, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. We know where you want to be there, Caryma, on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Bianca.
Yeah, I think she's due. Yeah,
Sasha Banks.
Mike?
That's the Mandalorian.
What do you think, Mike?
Girl. That's Mandalorian.
and my heart says the EST wins, but the business side of me says there's money in the chase. So I think Sasha wins.
I was going to say that. I say the Mandalorian's going to win, just because.
Sasha wins to stretch this out a little bit more, and I think it'll make the eventual win that much sweeter.
Yeah.
So
I don't even know who. I just know Sasha Banks. I don't know anything about it, but
Bianca Belair,
Disney's going to be like, no,
dynamite.
Sasha's going to win. We'll put Sasha in because we got the whole Mandalorian spinoff coming off there, and the Boba Fett, and she's going to be back in there.
Lashley, Drew McIntyre. Interesting one. Lashley, Drew McIntyre. Drew was the biggest thing in the world last year. Now having to chase back with 25,000 fans, but I don't like the title change yet. What do you like, Caryma?
If they take it away from Lashley, I feel like it was too short of a reign and it's like disrespectful to him. So I don't see how they do that. But then McIntyre was carrying a lot, and they took the title from him in kind of a disrespectful way. So I don't know.
Mike, what do you think here?
I'm going to go on a real big limb here and say that this whole Hurt Business breakup was all just a big ruse. And that the almighty Bobby Lashley gets a little help from Cedric and Shelton. I would love to see Leo Rush come back and be Bobby's mouthpiece again. But no, I think Bobby and Drew did a great job during COVID time. But I mean, Bobby he's a beast.
Does somebody get introed here to if the Hurt Business, is there a part B to this where the Hurt Business doesn't actually show up and they just do that program on the side afterwards, or maybe they turn on Lashley again for Drew? But I'm saying, like, is there somebody else that comes in here that actually interferes on behalf of the Hurt of Lashley, and actually it starts a program with Drew and that person down the road? Is there somebody we're not thinking about that's due to come back right now? Is there somebody that could jump into here and absolutely,
Well, they tried that with King Corbin.
Yeah, but okay. So we don't know where that's going. I'm going to call it. I'm saying a Lashley win here. Okay, last one of the here, just in time for Chris's return. The main event. The main event. Edge, Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns. Michael, you got skin in the game here, so let's go, Caryma.
I want Edge to win.
Yes, we do. Thank you. There you go.
Now, why do you want Edge to win? Why do you want Edge to win?
I feel like, okay, so he came back to chase the title, and that's precisely what he's done. So now this is the moment to take it back. There will be other moments, sure, but this is a WrestleMania moment. And then I think also, he's good on the mic always, regardless. But with the belt, he just is a little more troll. So I'm hoping that that's.
We're going Edge with Caryma. Mike, give us the non-friend opinion here.
Okay, all right. So let me say that the other day I got to see a piece of video that's going to be airing later this week, and it is probably, and I said it's probably the greatest promo I have seen the boy do. It is with Paul Heyman.
Oh, wow.
It is mind-blowing how good it is. And after watching that, it makes me want Edge to win.
More, right? Yeah.
But I think you got to stick with Roman Reigns. He's on fire. He is the guy that's going to take it down the road. My personal feeling is that no matter what happens, Daniel Bryan takes the fall. Either Edge becomes the ultimate opportunist again, and after Roman Reigns chokes Daniel Bryan out, Edge spears him and then pins Daniel Bryan, doesn't pin Roman Reigns. Or the opposite.
Do you know something that we don't know, Mike?
I do not. No,
Okay.
and this is, and I've said this
I have
before.
to throw that out there, right?
I have said this before. I have always, like, if when it comes to knowing stuff, and Adam's always been good. Like, I don't want to know. I want to be surprised. Even with his whole Royal Rumble return, I had no idea what was going to go on and how it was going to happen because I wanted to be surprised. So I say with absolute, no prior knowledge. I think there is no scenario where Daniel Bryan doesn't get pinned because it will further Roman and Edge solo down the line and then open up Daniel Bryan to work with maybe Jey Uso. Like if Jimmy Uso comes back, maybe it's Daniel Bryan teaming up with who was it that just got Shinsuke Nakamura. I could see Shinsuke and Daniel Bryan against the Usos, and then you leave Roman and Edge. But man, I think it's talking smack. I think it's the talking smack after SmackDown this week. Edge, Paul Heyman.
Cool.
Wow.
I'm a huge
right.
ECW fan.
Wow.
So,
Okay, this is interesting. We predicted this before Christian left and went to AEW. I had a whole thing laid out.
You have a whole thing
I sent
laid
it to Adam, and I'm like, what? Couldn't you talk to somebody? I have a great thing here. Anyways, I had him not winning and having to chase all next year when we're back in a stadium full of 70,000 people, and then they both win. That's out the window now.
Yeah.
So to your point, Caryma, yes, the idea of him coming back and getting the belt,
I like that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. However, I still think it's a year early. And I still think he's got to chase it another year.
But he's not going to. Is he not going to?
I feel because I've always thought that this year was like because the way it's kind of going and just the way that's going. To Mike's point, Roman, they've gotten behind him. The fans were against him, then back in, and now they're booing him like a real heel. So he's actually in that zone of like respect now. That booed heel respect. I think. Honestly, I don't know if there's this Roman like hate now. I think it's like, yeah, we like him as a bad guy personally, from what I'm seeing. I think to just further that legacy that they've started with him, I think Roman goes over.
So, but if Edge is staying with WWE for a whole year, does that mean he can't commit to a movie or do a TV show?
Well, he did. Mike can touch on the deal length that he did, but I think it's pretty long, anyways.
I'm surprised they don't bring him back into DC because he was actually a DC character.
Adam Smasher. Yeah.
But I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be some fuckery there, and I think Roman goes over, but I think at the end of the day, we have three guys in the ring that were all basically retired and out of the business due to injury.
Well, and this is the underlying.
So everyone wins regardless of it.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
But this is probably the only match that has had an actual story that's been compelling, even with adding Daniel Bryan to it, which I wasn't a huge fan at first, but I think the three of them are going to make good things happen, and they've managed to sort of craft an interesting story. But yeah, like at the heart of it, Roman with beating leukemia, you've got Daniel Bryan coming back from his neck injury, career ending. You've got Edge coming back from his. So three guys who I was watching an interview with Adam and Arda Ocal, another friend of the show here. They were talking about this, and even Adam said, it's amazing to think that even 2 years ago, if you would have said that these three guys were going to be in the main event at WrestleMania, it's not going to happen. So like that part of the story alone is compelling, but the way they've sort of crafted it, and I love how Edge has kind of got back into his, rated R superstar, that kind of mean.
Which leads me to believe it's too early. But Caryma, I love your point. I love him as if he's going to be heel. I love him as a heel champion. It's like, come on, fuckers. I love that side of it. But there's just a tiny part of me. And Adam, forgive me for this. I know the comeback has been forever, and I understand it, but perhaps it's still a year early. He's going to get it before he packs it in again. And I'm just wondering if that story builds to that. Either way, I'm happy with actually any outcome here, because it's going to lead to amazing stories. So,
but you know, the old sort of old school way of booking a show is you always send the fans home happy. And the only real happy way that you send the fans home is with the yes, yes, yes. I just don't see Daniel Bryan. I just don't see it. But
remember how the other one, Mania, ended when Rollins cashed in? No one saw that coming, and then he cashed it, and that came out of nowhere. So who knows? Anyways, that's the quickest WrestleMania recap we could possibly do.
At the real main event, Stone Cold, Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chris Jericho. Big
boom.
Man. Yeah.
That's going to be incredible. That's going to be amazing. And kudos to I started a ruckus on one of those. My buddy John Canton runs the wrestling, the John Report Wrestling out of London, and it's a really busy wrestling site. And somebody was doing something, and I posted just what I touched on before. I said, furthering my theory that Vince owns a small piece of AEW, and everyone went fucking crazy on me.
That's such a great comic book Marvel type theory, right? Like,
I got it going, and I'm like, it's gonna come out. There's going to be some big thing in 30 years from now when wrestling's like when it finally ends. It's finally like no one's watching it anymore. It's all over, and here's what you need to know. It's like opening up the Alien file.
All along.
It's opening all along. Brett and Vince were in on it. Number 2.
I had money in ECW.
That's right.
I liked what CM Punk had tweeted out earlier in the week, saying that it just goes to show that Vince fears AEW not, because the fact that he's cool with this, and I'm sure it's probably going to be skewed very WWE. I mean, let's face it, Chris Jericho had a pretty lengthy career in the WWE that you could do an entire Broken Skull session strictly on. I think AEW will be a part of it. I don't think they'll shy away from it, but I'm pretty sure that, you know, Vince made fairly clear that it's, you know, we can talk about it, but let's not linger on it.
How old is Vince now? How old is Vince now?
I think he's 81.
Imagine having a conversation with him now would be just like, what? Because he's so busy.
By text.
What's that?
Like, it was by text on Austin's like, are you sure that's okay? And Vince is like, thumbs up.
God damn it, pal.
I gotta say, like, a conversation with Vince now would probably be like person to person, probably be a pretty odd one at this point in time.
Hey man, there was video that was released of him working out and doing like some crazy squat with an insane amount of weight, and it's like, man, that dude is like, he can still lift. And love him or hate him, like at the end of it all, like, he's a smart guy when it comes to, you know, business.
I just hate the way he shuts our videos down, Mike. Like, especially that one of yours that was your personal moment. Like I was happy for you, not like anybody in the WWF.
We've got a lawyer on here now.
And they shut us down in the morning. They did. So we
get him.
We
Go get
played
him.
like just things for Mike, and he was in these videos, and Vince shut us down like within hours, man. It wasn't
Vince. It was Vince's people.
Let me have it, Mike. Let me have it. just let me have it, Mike. I don't want to be mad at the wrestlers. I don't want to be mad at any of them.
You've got some questions you've got a couple of wrestling questions for Mike, and then we're getting down to the end here.
Oh yeah, well these are they're kind of long ones. How do you want to do this? Like,
well,
Mike can go in depth on a few of these questions.
Oh, we got wrestling questions in general here, Kareem. Let's see if you can get in on these too.
No, because these are personal. This is Mike. Like, these are like for Mike, because it's like,
oh good. Well,
who should we go to listen? Oh, actually, okay. So check this out. Do you listen to anybody on YouTube, Caryma, that does wrestling reviews or anything like that?
No, I follow the subreddit, Squared Circle.
Okay, well, that's kind of like the question I was asking. So what my big question, because I like Brian Zane and I like Hannibal, and I was just curious who you wrestling fans nowadays got your info from, because like I miss everything. You know what I mean? Like I'll be watching something, or I'll be teaching or doing something else or working on a page, and then I got to get caught up. So I go to these certain guys for reviews and interviews on things. So I was just wondering who you guys go to.
Busted Open for me. Busted Open daily because they do a daily podcast, and it's Bully Ray and your buddy Tommy Dreamer. It's your buddy Tommy Dreamer. It's Bully Ray.
Tommy.
They bring those guys in, and I'm like, listen, I don't, if there's probably not too many people smarter than Bully than Bubba Ray. So like, if he's in on something and I want to know what he thinks.
ECW.
I'm in on all that. So for me, it's that, and then I read John Canton. I think his page is the John Report is fantastic. They do really great. When I'm touring and I can't watch Raw, I read everything.
I find it hard to watch the whole thing, or I don't have time for it, or I have it on in the background, right? So I was just yeah, they break it down. Caryma, what do you do to Reddit? Do you watch anything else, or do you read anything to get caught up on wrestling? Yeah, how do you get your wrestling info?
Primarily Reddit, because that like just compiles all of this different sources for me, right?
Nice.
So that's my.
I almost bought
that would be the lawyer way to
Wrestling
do it too, right? It's just there's your info, we got it, we're in, we're out.
Because do the work for me, and then
yeah. No, the squared circles, the squared circle subreddit it's phenomenal. It's really good.
Let's Reddit.
411mania.com. I tend to back in the day. I think it was Scott Keith used to do the net cop rants. I think that was his name. He used to do all the pay-per-view reviews with stars, 3 stars. There's a guy now that does it, Tony Acero. He does the pay-per-view reviews. There was another guy. I'll have to look it up. Okay, hold that.
Raja.wwf.com has been around since like 98.
So the other question I was going to mention, if we move on. So Caryma, a wrestler that you can't stand. I could never stand Captain Lou Albano. You know the guy with the elastics in his face. I couldn't. So names anybody. So that just there must be a wrestler that he's on the screen or she, and you want to turn the channel. It's like that song you hate, right? When that band comes on the radio, you change the channel.
I don't want to be mean to anyone.
No, but I know, right?
I really don't like Dolph Ziggler.
Nice. I dig that. I beat the crap out of him on my video game regularly. I get that. Mike?
Okay. He was maybe a nice person. I don't know.
No, but I get the same thing. Like, I just, do you remember Captain Lou Albano? He came up with Cyndi Lauper, like back at this is WrestleMania 1. He had like elastics in his face. He would pin them in there, and he's a big chubby guy. And I don't know. I never understood why everybody liked him. I couldn't wrap my head around
characters.
that.
Back then, it was all about characters.
And Kip Sabian. I don't like Kip Sabian from ECW or AEW. Kip Sabian. No. You're stuttering, Mike. Come on, man. Spit it out, buddy.
This pains me. The Miz tends to do that to me.
Really? Wow. Okay.
But I like Miz.
And he's doing it right.
Have you met him,
isn't he?
Mike? Have you met the Miz?
I've met Miz. Yeah,
have you had a beer with him or anything like that kind of thing?
No. He was. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
But just strictly if I'm watching, Miz or Baron Corbin, which also sucks because I remember Baron Corbin in NXT and he was cool when he first came up, and the audience would count from the time the bell rang. They would count, and he would beat his opponents within 30, but they would count down his wins, but he's. For all the hate that everybody has, like they say there's good heat and there's bad heat. Mm-hmm. I think it's good heat. Like if you hate him because he's generating an emotion. Yeah. I'm tired.
I'm going beyond that. I'm the point. Like we've discussed Kip Sabian, how I just think Kip Sabian sucks. And the other thing was like, Captain Lou. I just didn't get why people wanted to see him on TV, like his demeanor, everything. You got to watch Captain Lou from the 70s and 80s. No, I have, Mike. No, I have. I have the whole thing. He's just one of those guys.
Captain Lou. Yeah, no.
I want to hit him. I just never liked him. I want to reach in there and.
Then he did his job.
I know. No, but I just beyond that. No, there's guys that I've disliked, and it was cool. Like the Iron Sheik, man. You hated the Iron Sheik, but at the same time, he seemed like a rad dude, right? You know what I mean? Like back in the day. But yeah, no, I really dislike Kip Sabian and Captain Lou Albano.
I'm just getting the tweet right. Caryma hates Dolph Ziggler.
There you go. More.
One of the best sellers. One of the best sellers in the business, though. One of the best sellers.
Yeah.
No one sold.
You're never alone.
No one sold that U.S. title win from Zach better than him, right? That was a big thing. All right, so that's the rest. You got another one, Chris? Or are we wrapped?
No, we're good, man. That's good. We're at our time limit here. I believe we did our hour and a half, man. They're gonna.
There we are.
The name that coming in here and saying, "Hey."
Enough of the wrestling nerd talk. No. The name that I I feel bad that I didn't remember. A columnist. His name was Larry Zonka. He was with 411 Mania. He passed away last year. I loved reading, and he was actually one of the sketches that I wrote for season 1 of the E&C show was based on a meme that he would always refer to in his columns when it was something nonsensical that happened on Raw, and it was a picture of Vince, and it was the meme was, why? Because fuck you. That's why. And so I had written and I loved that. And so I wrote this opening sketch for Jay, who did an amazing Vince McMahon. And it was a press conference with a whole bunch of internet journalists and nerds asking him all these, sort of questions that were all real smart Mark type things. And his answer was, why? I'll tell you why. Because fuck you, that's why. So, and that was because that's from Larry's columns and what he used to do that meme. So,
do you watch Brian Zane at all? Do you watch Brian Zane at all?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't follow a whole lot of online aside from that.
Hannibal, that Hannibal dude who had
Hannibal TV.
Yeah, he got screwed up from what was his name there? Oh, Abdullah the Butcher.
Abdullah the Butcher, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure because those guys are deep.
We're going very.
That's a
now.
whole other episode. Sorry, isn't it, Mike? Is that not a whole other episode? Those two guys, man. Yeah,
I'm sure that'll be a Dark Side of the Ring episode at some point.
I bet it will, buddy. Yep.
Caryma, I want to. You got a podcast coming out and a few things. Can you walk us through what your plans are here coming up? I want to outside of the wrestling talk. What's happening with Caryma?
Yeah. Okay. So. It's something of a variety show. I'm still working out the notion, but I do editorial comics on sort of topical news
very
items.
good. We're going to show some of them on here, actually. We've been looking at them on the side screen here.
Awesome.
Good job.
So the idea is to do a deeper dive because, I will sometimes scratch the surface on an issue, but there's sort of stuff you don't know that maybe you should know. And so that's the idea or the theme of the show, the program. I'm hoping to bring people who are experts and kind of break it down in a way that is not academic, but functional. So that's the objective. And yeah, it's going to be filmed at 420 Cannabis Court, which is in the summer. It works as an open air comedy show. We'll see what happens with COVID. But I'm hoping to get some funny people on there as well.
That sounds great. Hey, I'm a funny dude. I will be on your show anytime you want. I'm a comic book artist. And I was just going to say, if you ever, I was looking at your stuff here. If you ever need any like classic Marvel type artwork, I am your guy.
All right.
But I would love to be on your show too. Invite me on there. I like to chat.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah,
I like it. Caryma's going to go.
Really
You're going to give us an example, Caryma. Give us an example of what we don't know, that we need to know. Exactly. Like where you're like, all right, did you know?
Okay. So this is the first one that comes to my mind. I don't know if it's the best example, but anyway, we'll roll with it. Okay. So long-term care facilities. We know that they were very hard hit with COVID deaths, but do we know how they are regulated in the province of Ontario? And I don't think a lot of people understand that there's a distinction between public long-term care facilities and privatized ones. And if you look at the stats, it's the privatized homes that have really suffered the most. And who privatized those homes and who is benefiting? And the government has passed a piece of legislation that effectively shields these people from any sort of liability if they've made an honest effort, which is a pretty nonsensical and vague threshold. So that's an example where I'd want to do a deeper dive into like I say, the regulatory framework, but also the day-to-day, like what is happening in our long-term care facilities.
Now, when Caryma sinks her teeth into this thing, she went at Randy Hillier the other day on Dean's show, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a good show,
it was
dude.
Great. She went at him, and he was like, and then,
my parents,
that's them.
My parents were going, they came over for dinner the other night, and they went on and on about that show. And they usually don't talk about the network I'm on, but man, they were like, woo, yeah, it's great. Smack that guy.
Yeah, you went. So I can't wait to see more of that, Karina. Even though I'm sure you're.
That's something that deserves a deep dive as well. And actually, kind of stemming from that, I attended his rally in Brantford because, he claimed to not be aware of a lot of the things I was talking about. And I think he was lying.
Good for you. You got to expose that crap. Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. Just so you know, not everybody in Brantford is what you saw.
Nothing against.
No.
Just
come to Kingston. We're all like,
just saying. Just saying. There's a whole other side of the city.
Well, Caryma, I can't wait for the rest of it. I know that you're looking at naming it soon. My vote, of course, is Caryma. But I'm gonna go. But she's got a poll up there. You guys can go to Caryma's Twitter page, which people can find you where.
Yeah.
Yes, you can find me at Caryma Rules, CarymaRules on Twitter, and just my name on all of the other platforms, Caryma Sa'd.
Awesome. We just followed that today, Brent. So we are
go
in,
vote,
and we will
go
share.
vote and help Caryma pick a name. And thanks for coming by. And
thanks so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Cheers. Yeah.
And showing off the hardware there.
You gotta love. we got a great
showing off the gold.
We got a great photo op out of that though. Except we all got gold except for Brent.
Well, I have the.
We'll Photoshop it on there.
I got the gold.
Lonnie will Photoshop some gold on there, buddy. It'll be great.
Michael, the question of the week: where else can we find you?
Everywhere.
At the
Nowhere.
local bar.
I'm on the air. I am the air.
Johnny Fever.
I saw Cineplex. Cineplex sent you out again, and that went to about another 100,000 people. You should just start a podcast, Mike.
Dude, I just say the things you say at theaters. People just kick back and they'll play it before they watch movies.
It's so shameless because I'm terrible at social media, and it's I think part of it's my age, and part of it's like I don't care, like the whole likes thing. But it is pretty interesting to see how just a video of doing just that affected a bunch of people to sort of like, oh yeah, that's cool, and I'm like. But no,
I'm the texter guy, man. You're the guy that disciplines people at movies.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm just trying to spread the Cineplex love, man. Because
you're saying what everybody else wants to say to people.
I want to be back in a theater. I want to see Black Widow in the theater.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see movies on a big screen. It's I want that, and hey, Cineplex, they've been good to me. They've helped me become part of the Canadiana vernacular and the Urban Dictionary. So it's all
part of
good.
Canadian entertainment history.
There's Mike. That's Mike
me.
B, our sometimes co-host. It is episode 25 of the Kids on the Escalator podcast. Mike's been along for a whole minute. Caryma, you're welcome to come back any single time.
Definitely. Definitely.
And hang out.
If you need some guests, even to drop by for a couple minutes, we're in.
Oh yeah.
Support
Don't get
100%.
We haven't even gotten into the weed thing, and that's up in that corner.
I had my hat on and everything. Yeah, my daughter works at the local cannabis store as well. But I had my hat on there.
It's cool because Caryma is going to bring the steak to the Blundell Network, and we will still just be the egg sizzle.
That's right.
Sizzle it up.
We're gonna Chris and I'll finish up. You guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Guys,
and,
pleasure as always.
Anytime. Thank you.
Peace and love, my friends. Take care.
Bye. Episode 25.
Wow, that's
like a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of shows. It's good.
That's a lot of shows. That's a lot of shows, man. That's a lot of. I mean, we've been, that's a lot of views. That's been a lot of guests.
It's a lot of good times, man. Like we're gonna have to do like a tweet where we drop names and we shout out all the guests because, man, I was going through in my head the other night and it was like, damn. Actually, no, I was talking to my neighbor about, and he's hopefully listening to this podcast because he's been listening lately.
Yeah.
His name's Andrew. He lives next
Andrew.
door. Yeah, Andrew. Andrew runs a gym out of his garage. I think I've mentioned him to you, Brent. And he's a fitness trainer. He trains people. So, Andrew, hope you're listening, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
You're a new
Train
listener.
us. Train Chris. Chris wants some training.
Now, get Taylor over there, not me. Not my. We joke though, because he'll be out there with his buddies lifting weights and stuff, and I'll be cutting the lawn, drinking a beer, and like, nah, man. And he'll joke, come over and try this. Like, nope, this is my exercise right here.
Chris has got a new nickname. It's called 50 Burpees Chris.
50 burpees, and that's burping after beer. But the biggest and the best news, man, like, call Huey Lewis because I got some news. I did it right that time. Like, Skeletron is going to printing. We're good. We're good to go. The funny thing is that I have we're good to go for the normal copy. I still have the only the only ash can. It's mini, right? It's a little copy. And I've been really doing a lot of publicity about it lately, and I've been sharing it with a lot of comic people, and they love it. They actually, so a lot of questions I'm getting is, why is this different than Marvel Comics or why is this different than Batman? Why is this different than Spider-Man? Okay.
Different how?
Exactly, right? Like here's how Skeletron is different from Batman and Spider-Man, two of the biggest comics in the world. There is no Peter Parker. There is no Bruce Wayne. And I'll tell you what, my friend, you get a Spider-Man comic and it's all Peter Parker and you feel ripped off. I do. You get
right.
Dude, this is Skeletron. Skeletron is Skeletron 24/7. There's no Peter Parker. There's no Bruce Wayne. There's no... I akin it again to The Walking Dead. Now, there's no superheroes in Walking Dead, but they're on 24/7, right? Like, there's no... Like Rick Grimes, man. Like, he doesn't turn it off. He's Rick Grimes 24/7. Now, the thing that the comic readers are not liking these days is that comics are 30 pages long. You're paying $7 for it. And you're getting like 15 pages of real action and what you want to see. Everybody's... this goes back to our buddy last week for Indie Music Week. What a great gentleman.
Dale Hurts. Yep.
Dale Hurts. And I mentioned it to Taylor, and she's like, oh my God, man. Like, wow, you had him on the show? He gets it. Breaking songs down to 30-second songs, half-a-minute songs. You know what I mean? And my daughter was the one that turned me on and was like, yeah, that's like, this guy knows, man. Like, so I'm kind of doing the same with my comic book. There's no downtime, man. Like, it's like, you're not going to flip a page and find, and now he's going to college and he has trouble with his girlfriend. To me, that's bullshit. My biggest problem with the new Spider-Man movies is when he's in school. And I get it. You're appealing to the younger audience. They want to see it. And I've had this discussion with lots of kids, teenagers, younger kids, because I'm a teacher as well as a comic book artist. And they're like, oh, I really liked Spider-Man. And I liked when they went to school. Whereas I'm like a seasoned vet, read forever. No, I don't want to see that. So this is for the readers who have been reading for a long time and want to see action. They get to it. Do it. Let me see it. Great art. Great, like, boom, man. Bam.
Totally.
Classic.
And you got there on Patreon, which is amazing, which means people are following, supporting, liking. Amazing.
Shout out to you. Shout out to Betty. Shout out to Gary and Dorothy. Those are my top tiers right there. And thank you very much.
Support the cause.
And there's more too, but like those are the big ones, right?
Yeah.
But we did it, and I'm very excited. I can actually tell people now that I am a comic book artist again. And the funny thing is, Brent, is you know me for a long time, right? So I went to the Joe Kubert School, and I took about a decade off, and I played in a band. I am now back to where I was. Like, dude, did you see the new Joker Batgirl picture I did?
Yeah, it's wicked.
I studied all week to do that. So what I did, this is the beauty about being a musician or an artist. You're never too old to learn. So what I did is I took the week, and it's funny too because you'll notice because I won't be on social media a lot. You won't hear from me. And I'm studying. And what I did was I got my comic books out, and I went through the ones that sucked. And I looked at the art in the 90s when it was oversaturated. Okay, and I looked at that art, and then I grabbed like John Byrne stuff, who Ken and I bonded on over our comic book podcast, right?
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane. I'm studying for a week. I'm just sitting there looking, going, why does this suck, and why is this good? And I'll tell you, buddy, I at the end of the week, I was like, okay. I said to my wife, what should I draw? Like, give me something. Because you can't pick your own, right? After studying, you should really ask, if you're studying music, studying drawing, studying anything, ask somebody to pick something to do to test yourself. Don't pick it yourself, man. So Lonnie said to me, I want to see Batgirl and Joker. And I was like, okay. It started out more Batgirl than Joker, but man, doing that Joker's face, right? Oh my God. And I hit another plateau. And the funny thing is that I posted it and I got twice as many likes, twice as many views. So it worked. You know what I mean? So you're never too old to learn when you're in the entertainment industry. I can't suggest that for accounting or anything because I'm not an accountant.
You never stop. It never, listen,
Okay,
I get asked all the time about shows and all the rest of it. And I talked last week to a bunch of students at Durham College, and they're all like, oh, you did this, you did that. I'm like, here's the thing. I've got a theory about what I do for a living, but I think it applies to absolutely every single profession. If you set goals for yourself and you go and achieve those goals, it's going to be a work to get there. Now, some people are lucky. Some people some people get the funding and they can go right through school, and by
dude,
25 years old, they hit it. But
some people have families who are just like, oh no, go ahead.
Yeah,
go
totally.
ahead.
But the grinders, the people grinding, we talked about
like that term.
With Adam and all these, with being at WrestleMania 6,
dude,
and then
me and you,
you and I, like I've
kids.
slept on couches, like everything is going through the thing. So I'm talking to the kids at Durham College, and they're like, what was your favorite show? Or when did you know that I like to tell the story, but when did you make it? And I think we talked about this a little while ago. When do you either make it as an artist or make it as a musician or whatever? So when I had Pearl Jam the first time at, it was Pearl Jam at the Air Canada Center at the time. And it was Pearl Jam 20. So that was their big movie. It was during the film festival. I'm sitting there. It's my show. Everybody's there. And Woody Harrelson's there, and Neil Young. Everyone's just kind of hanging out, and it's this giant party, and Pearl Jam are just killing it. And I'm like doing an arena show with one of my favorite bands in my hometown, in my home arena. But I live on the other side of the country. So it was kind of like I came home to do this show, and I'm like, I made it.
Yeah.
My definition of making it, right? But all it meant was I made it to this level. Yeah. Which is the top of this level, but it's the bottom of the next level.
Made the top of this staircase.
So I had 7 minutes to go. I made it.
Well, you know what, Brent? That would actually
level.
That would be a really. Oh, and I'm offline again. Oh, you can hear me.
I
though,
see
right?
it. I can hear you.
That would be a great show. That would be a really good show. We should get Dean on for that one too, because I'd like to hear how he made it up to what he's doing as well. Yeah, you know what? That was me. I keep hitting a chord here, and I keep cutting.
That's your chord in your thing, and it's in your thing. But I've had a series of those moments where it's like, I hit Wembley. Like I got a picture of Wembley. I've got things of significance on my wall that I've hit. But it was like just because I did Wembley, that was a dream of mine to do Wembley. But I have done, I've done 100 stadiums now. But someone else has done 500. And someone else has done 1,000. I've done probably closer to 150 or 200 now over the course of the last little bit. But Wembley was I got to do Wembley to tag it off the list. But I've done more historic things. I've done more, but these were just personal things for me. Yeah. Madison Square Garden, Wembley. And then, but they were all big things, moments for me, but they were all the bottom or the top of one level and the bottom of the next level. Yeah. I'm kind of in the middle now. So I've because I'm going between both, but there's always somebody that does it bigger and better.
Oh, well,
so just because I do a stadium show I'm doing a stadium show. I'm just saying, just because I'm doing a stadium show with 35,000 people, someone's going to do a stadium show with 85,000 people. So there's levels. So you just got to keep going. And you've never stopped looking at that.
Well, nobody
I've
has.
never
That's
stopped
the thing.
looking at that.
The biggest thing that anybody succeeds, their first advice is don't listen to anyone. Because if anybody is criticizing what you're doing, why are they looking at your life anyway? That makes them look pathetic to me. It's like, wow, you're really taking time out of
most of the time.
It doesn't make sense, right? So, but
how it is. It's the classic. It's like,
it's jealousy. It's jealousy. But I'm just saying, like, I would bet that if we got a group of 4 people or 2 other people on our show, like Dean and somebody else, was successful in what they wanted to do, not like, well, I'm doing this, I'm making a lot of money, but I don't like it. They would all say, I bet one of the first things they would say was, don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to anybody who tells you not to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm now officially a comic book artist. I've switched from, I went from musician to teacher to now I could technically hire people to do comic books, and I'm actually considering sending out some portfolios to my buddies out in Captain Canuck. I kind of got the urge to do like another issue, so I'm kind of thinking about diving back in there and maybe sending some of my portfolios out to G.I. Joe, like some of not Marvel. Marvel actually don't take submissions anymore, Brent. They don't. You can't send submissions to Marvel anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, we've done 2 hours.
The funny thing is I don't even know. I mean, how does that even work? I mean, we talked to Daryl last week about bands and musicians, but what I'm saying is like somebody like yourself that's like an amazing artist, but I'm like, to what we just talked about. Sure, you put out a comic book, but how do you get your stuff to DC and Marvel and have it?
I got Image
above everybody else.
See, I'm taking the Walking Dead plan. Image Comics is basically still an independent company. They have Spawn, Todd McFarlane, man, the Todd father. Like He's like an artistic god to me. I named my character after him, Todd Kirby, right? So Image is the one that I want to go to. I've stoked this out too. It's so funny too because, again, man, it's like steps, right? Okay, well, I started this and was like, I remember going online going, hey, it's a lockdown. I'm going to start a comic company. No, you're not. Yes, I am. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and my reply to all those people is, you're dumb. Because it's just...
Do you think someone told Emily Van Camp that she can...
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. Like all these people, like anybody who is dissing anybody doing what they love, you're dumb. I'm sorry, but
Stop it.
Yeah, you're just
Stop
dumb.
it.
Yep. So, dude,
You're just
wow.
you don't have any goals or dreams yourself, so there you go.
We've officially hit 2 hours. I guess that's our
go.
max limit.
We gotta thank some things. We gotta thank some people. We gotta thank
Brent,
some
you
time.
know what?
Okay.
I use blue microphones.
Do
you?
Because you know what? Turns out I do.
Oh, here's why.
Right there. Blue microphones. Our friends. Mixify headphones. Chris got his on backwards again, but it's fine.
I do, but the commercial's on right now. They can't see it anyway.
That's right. Well, we'll just let them hear it. So we want to thank our friends at Blue Microphones for the Mixify headphones and Blue Yeti X. Do yourself a favor. It powers the Brenton On Tour Podcast. It powers the kids on the Escalator. All the stuff Chris is doing on Twitch and all the other things, which is what?
What am I doing on Twitch? Oh, man, well.
You're doing everything on Twitch.
As I say, well, do I tell you, though, dude, I'm one of those guys that's all of a sudden like, wow, where'd Chris go? And I'm like, I'm studying stuff. I tell you, man, I watched The Shining a few times, you know, studying the camera views. I'm really into it. I really am. You remember when we wrote songs? I studied songs and I sold songs and I broke through. Ontario tourism, man. Like I sold some big songs, man. Woohoo! So I want to do the same thing with the comic book. And I study it and I love it. I dive into it, Brent. I do.
Thanking our friends at deanblundell.com and the network. You're going to see lots more video content coming from them over at deanblundell.com. We've got a whole, there's a whole video platform on its way over there. So, weekly shows, everything. Make sure you go tune in over there. He's putting out some killer content right now, and he's causing a ruckus.
He is, and it's
daily,
awesome.
which I love.
Dude, when my parents are in their 70s, and they love it. They're just like, yeah. Like, as they're talking about it, they're doing the fist thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
the thing is that they don't. Like the thing is, and I want to touch on just the fact that he offered a platform. So number one, he offered a platform for people to come on and speak. If they don't want to come on and speak, then that just speaks to everything that's going on. So, I thought they did a great job with it. Him and Lachlan and
Lachlan's
all the guys,
awesome, dude.
All the guys, that were talking on that show, and Caryma and
It's great. And was Darren on that one?
Well, Darren started on that one,
but
I
he
think.
didn't, right?
And then,
See,
and
the
then
funny
I
thing
think,
about Darren,
I think he jumped after, but I'm
and you
not
can't
sure.
talk to Darren about Goldfinger. I've totally learned that. Sorry, Darren.
Well, James DiFiore was on there too. Everyone was on there. It was good. And anyways, they're doing some great stuff. Go join them over there, and everything else that's on the network. There's so much great content coming out of there right now. Leaf shows, Canuck shows.
Dean Blund Network is the
our
shit,
show.
Dude. It is the shit. So I would love to get him on here and somebody else and just talk about. We're always so like, woohoo, it's fun. I would love to have a struggles. Like, how did you get to where you were? Because that helps people too. I love hearing.
I love those stories. I'll read his biographies. So.
Right?
There's a great line from Michael Eisner, who was running Disney.
Yeah. Okay. I know that.
And he said this. He's basically, I read autobiographies until they make it, and then I close the book.
Ah, there you go. Right?
I'm only interested in the journey that got them there.
So
and then I'm not interested. So that's what I'm doing.
I think that's a great episode. I think that'd be fantastic.
I don't know what's next. We may take a week or two off. I don't know. It's been 25 weeks in a row. I think
we can't stop now.
We'll go on
the producer's like, no,
we'll do something. We got a couple plans. There's a review show on the way of all the 25 episodes so far.
Oh, a clip show like Seinfeld.
Yeah,
did.
we got a clip show. We got lots of stuff coming up. So
clip show.
The jury's out as to whether we'll be back next week or the week after. But regardless, pick up Skeletron, listen to us on the Dean Blundell Network, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm going to drop that in this week. Leave a review if you love what you hear. If you like,
yeah, only if it's good, man. I don't want to hear any dissing.
Put the shit on there, but put the shit on there, but make it 5 stars. Right. That's Chris Machete. The other guy.
That's Brent.
This has been the Kids on the Escalator podcast, episode 25. Good times.
Rad.